Todo listo. Well, you know what? Since the running backs have so many question marks right now, we're going to start with Austin Ekeler. That ankle has made him miss 2 games. There's talk that he's going to miss a game, that he could play limited practice, but with the bye week in week 5, does it make sense to sit him this week and possibly beat the Raiders anyway, and then have him even healthier for week 6?
It does, to me, it does make sense. But what coaches will do and teams will do versus what they should do is almost never lined up. And you see that with injuries too. It's the same thing with injuries. So on average, what you see is running backs with a high ankle sprain since 2016, they typically miss 0 games or they miss 3 games. Their average missed time is 2 weeks. So in theory, Austin Ekeler could come back this week, but we probably wouldn't see a 100% Austin Ekeler. So in addition to that, you see about an 86% production sort of average relative to his average. He would see probably about 86% of that. The other thing is you have to look at the human side and the team side. Like you said before we started recording, I don't know if it makes sense that they bring him along. The flip side is Austin Eckler's watching what's going on with Josh Kelly. Austin Ekeler knows that the team needs him. They need somebody to give some sort of spark out of the backfield. And we all know Austin Ekeler at this point because he's so active in the fantasy space. It just seems like Austin Ekeler wants to be out there, and he tweeted a picture of himself back at practice. Again, it seems like he's going to give it a go or at least try. I would lean towards if he is active, you have to put him in your lineup. I don't think it makes sense to sit him, but don't expect anything spectacular from him. I think that a couple touchdowns are really going to save you on the day. But if he's active, you have to start him. I think that it is what it is. 93% of running backs since 2016 who have practiced during the week and after a high ankle sprain, they go on to play. So only 2 exceptions exist. That's Saquon Barkley, who we'll get to in a minute, and Alvin Kamara. Those 2 guys are the only exceptions who practiced for a week, waited, and then practiced again and came back the following week. So that's sort of what I have on Austin Ekeler.
And I mean, this is a great game environment. It's got an over/under of 47.5. The Raiders and the Chargers. I mean, the Raiders do not have a good defense. The Chargers have not been a good defense. I think I actually predicted on the Yahoo, in one of my Yahoo articles that Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams were going to battle for wide receiver 1 on the week, just on the same field. But Ekeler, I always want to see the guy that want to see him back. I kind of there, we saw David Montgomery last night do very, very well coming off of a thigh injury, but ankles are so different. And gosh, that third game, especially with the bye week coming. We'll see, but like you said, they push to play, and the coaches are going to push them to play. Brandon Staley may be coaching for his life. But you mentioned Saquon Barkley. Now he revealed that it's actually a high ankle sprain, and again, you mentioned 3 weeks. What back at with the limited practices.
Yeah, so Saquon, obviously, I just mentioned him. He's one of the guys who practiced for a week before he actually came back after his last high ankle sprain, which was the same side. 2 different things can be true. A, it's worse than the last time, or B, so A, it's better than the last time, or B, it's not. And last time that this happened to him, he had this high ankle sprain. It was on the same side. The sky was falling. People were nervous. Nobody really knew what was going on. And he ended up missing 3 weeks. I do think it's possible, since he's at practice now, that he comes back and plays. But again, similar to Austin Ekeler, you're probably not going to see a 100% Saquon Barkley. It would probably make sense for teams, for the Giants to sit him, but we don't know if that's going to actually be the case. So you just kind of have to roll with him if he's active, understanding that he is highly volatile in that first week back. So, 2.2 games is the average for missed for high ankle sprains. So you got to sort of hold your breath and hope that he's out there and can be productive for you. But he is a high risk. Don't use him in DFS lineups. Don't take any props that might be out there for him. And 2 things I want to mention. Number 1, if you want to continue to keep up with this type of information, get in the patreon.com/injury prone. We talk about this stuff all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It doesn't matter. Saturday, late Saturday, Sunday morning, we're hitting these questions. We're talking about the updates and really discussing what's going to happen. The other thing, Jorge, you slid this by. You announced that you're finally full-time at Yahoo. I'm not going to let that slip by. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. I think that's awesome. And I know you're laughing and you're smiling because you're humble. You're look how red you are. Look how red you're turning, man. I really appreciate you so much. And I think that's great. We sort of got started on a hot track and we sort of hit the ground running, but I do want to bring that up. I do want to say congratulations, my friend. Estoy orgulloso de ti, un Latino en Yahoo. So congratulations on that.
Gracias. Yeah, La Familia, we're there, and they've really welcomed me with open arms. Just a great place to be, great team, and I mean a lot of people that you've interacted with, people that use your that use your great advice. So that means they're smart people. So yes, it does feel really big. I said it yesterday on Twitter. It feels like I'm back in the big leagues. So yes, muchas gracias, mi amigo. But it's fun. So I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna keep following my content, and hit me up whenever you see me pop on your phone, because it will be it is a lot. So gracias, compa, gracias. So one thing on Saquon, real quick. The Seahawks have been better against the run this year than they've been against the pass. I think this game actually could shoot out. I'm concerned about the environment here. I mean, it is going to be they're 1-2 team that is trying to fight back. So vamos a ver. Yeah, we've all sprained ankles really badly, and it takes 6 weeks. So, but we don't have great doctors like you to help us get back to get back to health. I wanted one more running back. I wanted to ask about Miles Sanders. Groin issue, came out of his game against the Seahawks last week with a groin issue. We've seen these before, and you've talked about the groins being something that can linger. Is this a concern for you?
So this is only a concern because if I remember correctly, this was an issue for Miles Sanders in the preseason. So he does have this history of soft tissue issues. He has seen, a larger workload now that he's in Carolina. He tends to play through these things. If he were a little older, it might be a concern, but you do want to be careful with these. You don't always see recurrences with groin injuries, but they can get a little tricky. So if they overload him again, he could be at risk. He's a guy you just want to hedge a little bit, right? If you're thinking about putting Miles Sanders into, let's say 10 lineups, I would probably temper that, put him in like 7 or 8 lineups, right? You should always temper your expectations, but the injury and that isn't necessarily going away, something that's recurrent at this point, I would temper your expectations just a little bit.